Good evening. So it's Saturday night. What time is it? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. It's late. I've been painting. Um, I, I bought a chair from the Goodwill. I was looking for a chair for my desk. If you're on my old channel, I was starting to decorate. And when I was looking for a chair, excuse me, all the ones that I wanted were so expensive because I don't know, even just like a regular, and need a white chair because that's kind of my aesthetic here. So I was looking for a chair and I found one at the Goodwill for $10. And to it, I can't edit. I'd show you the before, but it was brown and it had like a lime green upholstery. Even when I was buying it, the lady behind me is like, "Oh, that's a beautiful chair," and it is. It's a beautiful like older chair. And I brought it home and I bought some white paint and I painted it and I bought some what do you call it? Some fabric on clearance and I painted it and I reupholstered it. And that was so much fun. And then the other night, I just put that little table together right there. So if you watched me before, my couch was moved like right next to my desk. I needed some room for a chair. And so last night when I was with Jesse and Bailey, I gave them an anniversary present. And then I asked them to order this for me on Amazon. I said, I'll give you the money. And they're like, well, we'll buy that for your birthday. And I said, perfect, because I don't have Amazon. I don't have a debit card or anything. And I got it today already. And I put it together. And so, yeah, it works perfectly right there. And so now I have more room next to my desk to put my new chair, my new reupholstered painted chair. So I wanted to talk about my last video. So, I know these people are trolls. I know that that's kind of what sells. I know this world just seems to be getting crueler. And I know as people trying to rile you up and stuff. But as a content creator, especially when you share your life and sometimes personal things about your life, um, you're vulnerable. And who likes bad things said about you? And mostly it was because it was about my morality. It was about my, you know, being truthful. And people said, he probably wasn't even a cybersecurity guy. He probably wasn't. And, but it's hard. It's hard sharing your life sometimes. But you know what it made me think of? It made me think of this quote. Need my glasses. And you know it, you all know it. It's by Theodore Roosevelt. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And I don't think I could say it better. And, when I thought about that, it's the people putting themselves out there. It's the cowards are the ones who are, the ones behind a keyboard, saying negative stuff. But I'm not going to say, I'm very strong. I am very strong. I think physically and mentally, and I'm a goal setter and stuff. But when people say mean things to you, even people you don't know, it still can sting. And then you think about it later on, and you're like, who are they? In the moment, though, like I said, questioning my morality was just something that got me because it's something that I pride myself on. My dad was the most moral person that I've ever met in my entire life. and my dad's been gone a long time, and I miss my dad. My dad was the only man who ever truly like protected me, or I could go to with a problem and would want to solve it. And so, yeah, I miss him. I miss that. And, you know, I want to talk about too. So, um, yeah, I don't live a life like a lot of people. 9 to 5 was never like my thing, even though I did it. I was a single mom since my daughter was one. She's 24 now. I just knew that that wasn't, I didn't want to sit at a desk from 9 to 5. And I did it for years, but I did multiple jobs. Um, and I made it. I've never been afraid of not making money. Somebody asked, how do I have an 800 credit score? Well, first of all, my dad was very good with money. It's funny, 4 of the kids ended up really good with money, and 2 of them, if they had $1 in their pocket, it would burn a hole in it. Um, but, I learned from him. And also, the first job I had as a paralegal, I worked in bankruptcy. And I saw how a lot of people had medical debt, which is no one's fault. But quite a few people had a lot of credit card debt, a lot of, just wanting fancy cars and stuff like that. And this was way back then. Now, listen, I would never fault anybody for filing bankruptcy with, I mean, people have to put groceries on their credit cards, their gas on their credit card. If you get a medical bill, we can't even afford premiums, and they're going up this next year. It's unfathomable. It's unsustainable. It's it's cruel. It's cruel. Um, I would never fault anybody for filing bankruptcy. Uh, but, that taught me too on, I just never have carried any debt. I mean, when I carried debt, my dad always taught me you buy one thing, you pay it off, and then you can buy something else. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. And so that's how I got it. Um, and I wanted to share too. So I have been reading biographies a lot. I'm interested in other people's lives. I think maybe because, like I said, as a creator, you put yourself out there, and it hasn't been easy. And for the new people who follow me, sorry, I'll give the 2-minute elevator speech for those of you who have followed me and know. But my sister passed away at 42 from cervical cancer. She had 2 kids. One was adopted from Bogota, Colombia, because she couldn't get pregnant after the first one. And so she died of cervical cancer in hospice. 10 years later, her husband passed away from a brain tumor. He first had it here. He had it operated on. They said he'd have like 5 more years to live. And then they found a tumor around his carotid artery, and nobody would do surgery on it. Even he could afford like the top surgeons anywhere. And they said it was too much of a risk, that he could mostly die on the table. Anyway, he passed away at 52. The day we buried him, we were going to my sister's house to have like a cookout. And when I was driving to her house, I had Jessie in the back. Her and her husband were driving this way. And I'm like, where are you guys going? Like, I'm going to your house. And they told me my dad had a massive stroke. So we drove to the hospital. My dad wasn't supposed to live. He did. He lived for another 3 years. And then my sister had strokes at 61. She's in assisted living. She'll always be in assisted living. I think she's like 75 now. Hard to keep track of all the birthdays. My brother Al, passed away at 61. He had just turned 61 from colon cancer. He had it for 5 years, and it kept like, it would not go away, but he'd be clear and then it would come back. So so he died at 61. And so, that's why I got in the van at 56, because I'm like, doesn't look like, maybe I won't be able to retire. And so, people were like, well, weren't you afraid? And I said, well, I was more afraid not to go than I was to go, because if something was going to happen to me, I would rather have it me like being free and doing what I wanted than me dying sitting behind a desk from 9 to 5, um, you know, not living my life. And I found this recently. My mom and I were just talking about this on the phone, and I have it with me. So after my brother passed away, my brother was very smart. He worked for the government, and then he worked for Lockheed Martin, uh, and then he was also he taught at a college here, and that was on the weekends. And so he worked, and he traveled a lot to Dubai. He did contracts. He's very smart. He graduated with honors in Russian and mathematics. So there you go. Um, but when he passed away, uh, we all had dinner with his wife, and she ended up. Um, the one good thing, like he says, is when you know you're going to die, that you have the option to say things to people that you never said before. And so after he passed away, we went to dinner with his wife, and she handed each one of us a card from him, and he wrote to each one of us something. And I'm actually going to read it to you. And I read it intermittently. I thought I lost it for a bit, and I don't know, like a couple weeks ago, I was frantically like trying to remember where I put it. And I finally found it, and I'm going to read it to you. So this is from a man who knew he was dying, and got to write people and leave that message beyond the grave. And so he said, "Dear Tracey, I wanted to leave notes that would be delivered months after I am gone. One of the benefits of knowing ahead of time that your time is short. I wanted to let you know that I always admired how you were never afraid to try something new, and you were never a slave to typical 9 to 5 life. I'm not implying you didn't work hard. On the contrary, but you would be on your but you would on your own terms. I admire that. I was pretty much a corporate drone, always working 50 plus hours a week. For years, I went into work just about every Sunday morning. Plus, I was away from home on travel a lot more than I should. I should have been. Early in high school, his son, I won't say his name, wrote a paper that I found years later that read like the song Cats in the Cradle. He would need me for something, but I was overseas for work. He couldn't understand why I had to be gone so much. It was a tough paper to read, but it was done and I couldn't change it. So keep doing what you do with Jesse away at school. That's when Jesse was at college. You can do some things just for you. I love you, and we'll see you a long while from now on the other side of the curtain. Your favorite brother, Al." So yeah, and it's hard because I didn't get that support from my siblings, before they died. And that's why you should tell people things when they're alive. I remember when I worked for Suzanne Summers. I got a job with Suzanne Summers. I was in charge of all of her beauty products when she was on Shop NBC. And, it was a big thing for me. And I had just written my book, Heroes in the Sandbox, and, all these creative things. And I remember going to my sister, the one that my mom sued. And I was all excited, and I said, "Hey, I got this job. I'm working for Suzanne Summers." And the only thing she said to me was she turned around and looked at me, and I know I told this story before, and she said, "Why don't you just get a normal job like the rest of us?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thanks for the congratulations. Good for you. How exciting, you know?" And that's just how it was. And I've been reading a lot of biographies lately. I've been drawn to biographies, and maybe because of like I want to see how other people live. So I'm writing down all the books I read. So I finished A Little Life, and that um, wasn't that was a good book. Uh, and then I read Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, about Britney Spears. I wrote about Demi Moore, or I read Demi Moore, Inside Out it was called. I just read Matthew Perry's book, and Minka Kelly, if you don't know her, she was on Friday Night Lights. And I found all these at the library, and now I'm reading Down the Rabbit Hole by Holly Madison. And all these people that I've read about, all of them have had very like traumatic lives. Their families are torn apart. Minka Kelly was actually, her mom, she was an addict, but Minka Kelly worked peep shows. They were very poor. Her dad wasn't around, and she came to be on TV and stuff like that. But a very hard upbringing. Matthew Perry, so interesting. He was on Friends, like making $1 million a week, and in one of it, because he was an addict and he was in rehab and out of rehab. I mean, his colon exploded from taking opiates. Like and he had some childhood trauma. His dad left, like never came back. He reconnected with him later on, but it struck me that he said that he would hang out with a lot of his friends, and they would just drink like normal, or whatever, and go home. And he always wanted a family and a wife, but he said he always screwed it up. He was always afraid of commitment, and he would always leave. And all he wanted was like kids and a wife. And he even says, I kept screwing it up. And he said, I would give anything. I would give the fame. I would give all the money. I would love to just be scraping by and struggling if I could not be an addict. And, Demi Moore, she had a really tough life. Her mom sold her to somebody for $500. Britney Spears, well, we all know that. I mean, she has she was in the conservatorship, and it was her family was making money off of her. And, so you see these people, and I know like with this one, because it's about, the Playboy Mansion. And all we see is the shiny stuff on the outside, and we think money is going to make us happier. It's going to like somehow magically make our lives perfect. And that's what we think. Oh, they're famous and they have money. They can do whatever they want. Their life must be perfect. And that's what a lot of them had said in their books. And I hope that that's not the truth. Money can't buy happiness. I just told my mom tonight, I said, listen, I have everything that I need. I have never been about money. I'm for goals. Again, I don't carry debt. I don't need a lot of money to survive. I raised my daughter. I did that. I can do anything I put my mind to. I know I can. I know I have a strong mind. But yeah, and like these people, all their stuff is aired out to the public, and I am a very, very, very small, like I put myself just a small part out there. And getting comments like I've gotten, it's hard. I can't imagine being on the cover of the Inquirer. They're making stuff up about them, and you can't really defend yourself. Like they can write whatever they want about you. And again, controversy sells. That's what's going to get the clicks. That's what's going to get the views, And I'm not controversial. I don't think, I try not to be. Um, my life may be a little like this, but that's just life. That's just life for most people. I won't say everyone. But I I was driving today and I just felt this freedom. I just felt happy. Even going through all this, I just felt happy. I felt free. I feel free. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't even, like I said, going through all this. Like, what more can you do to me? You take away my identity, like I said before. I don't know if I can make it through this. I can, and I made it through all the other stuff I just talked about. Um, I am strong. I'm very strong. And so are you. And I know you are. And I know, like, you watch me, and like I said, I'm putting this out on the internet for forever. The internet's forever. That's what they say. And and that's the thing. I just want to give other people hope to know that you're not the only ones going through this. It's embarrassing if your family doesn't get along, or you don't talk to your family anymore. I've randomly talked to people. I was talking to a lady at school the other day. I don't know how we started talking. It was after I took my mom to the emergency room, and I don't know, something came up about taking care. And there were two people. There was a guy, and then there was another lady. She was the janitor, and he was a sub. And they both said that they take care of, they're both married though, they take care of like one of their parents. And both of them said that the rest of the family didn't help at all. So they were in the same position as me. So we were all talking about this. And it just kind of seems like a lot of times that's what it comes down to. And the one lady said, I don't talk to the rest of my family because, they weren't there for my dad and they don't help. And I said, I get it. I get it. So you find people you know, who you can relate with, who you want to, you can understand each other. Anyway, I just want to, I'm fine. But yeah, I really want to put, hopefully a lot of people have said that like they're changing their passwords, they're doing all this, that is helping to talk about it. And yeah, so next I'll be, researching about things and talking about scams and scams that are out there. And like I said, I think with AI and stuff, it's just going to take over. And there aren't any guardrails hardly anymore, especially with the government shutdown and stuff, So it's just going to get worse. So the time to take action and precautions are now. So I hope you do that. Change your passwords. Change your passwords. Even to your Wi-Fi. I didn't know that. Tomorrow, I start my burlesque classes. I have a 4-week every Sunday burlesque class. I'm so excited about that. I'm doing things that bring me joy. I'm doing things that bring me joy. And so I'm good. My mom saw the video and she called me. She's like, I'm worried about you. I wasn't sad. I was sad, but I was more like mad that somebody was questioning my morality. And I know a lot of you are like, don't fall for the trolls. Again, when it's you, it's easier to say than it is to do. Because if it were you on the other side, and if it's just one person, it would be one thing, but a couple people, and I know they're trolls. Again, if you're not in the arena getting dirty, you're just an observer, then you shouldn't really be saying much. But I'll leave you with that. Okay, hopefully the next one will be something about scams and scamming. And I just did a video today with my mom opening the box, but I did it on the camera, so I have to upload that to the computer. So I'm actually going to break out my new computer and try that. Gotta do it at some point. No better time than the present. So I'll leave you with that. All right, you have a good day. Change your passwords. Get a VPN. Do what you can. Protect yourself. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.